Because we're the three best friends that anyone did have. Yes, we're the three best friends. We're a little late.
Pack.
We're a little late.
Little wolf pack.
Little wolf pack. We're a little late. Welcome to That Helps No One FantasyCast, the regular season finale for you fantasy football enthusiasts. We are -1 because these two guys were late. No, both. And because of that, this guy, not quite sure, is actually sleeping, potentially upright.
Like actually sleeping.
We've called, we've asked. He is,
and we haven't verified. He might actually be sleeping upright, which would be pretty impressive.
Yeah. Ooh,
really?
I don't like that.
Do any of you guys have Nadine's number? I don't. We probably shouldn't.
I don't. I'd have to look on Facebook. I don't think I could do that. It takes a long time. That's how I get a hold of you, Ted. Worst case scenario, I Facebook your wife, and I get a hold of you in like 5 seconds.
So, yeah, we need Ted's league fees paid. Can you help us out with that?
Yeah, 5 seconds later, like it's in your bank account. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's go.
Just whatever. It's always the same story, right? Just make sure you have your people call my people.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully she's competent, so that's good. Welcome to the show. It's I can't believe it. Like end of the regular fantasy season. This feels weird, right? Like kind of weird.
Some of us who aren't in the playoffs, it probably feels weird.
I'm in playoffs somewhere. I am in. It's an offshore account.
Where in the random playoffs?
Man, I absolutely molested you in the Ball Hawks League, though. Like, you beat me. Yes, you beat me in a league that I started and is a paying league, which does hurt. I'm not gonna lie. But you guys started the league, and I had my way with you probably twice if we were to rack it up that way. And it felt delicious. Thank you for being presentable for my fantasy.
What is happening here?
I'm just rolling with it. Right
I am the bad man, and I touched you in a few spots in fantasy this past week. That's right. It got graphic. I'm sorry. This is That Helps No One FantasyCast on Dean Blundell Network. I'm Ryan. We got Steve and we got Ted. You guys, it was a pretty messed up week for fantasy, if you think about it. I looked at one of my leagues, and Ted, our sleeper league, and I think I had 29 points. Like I'm dead. I looked. I'm like, that's got to be wrong. I think
Dalvin Cook had 29 points.
I think Dalvin Cook had 29 points at the half. I had
29
points for the week.
He didn't have 29 points for me because I didn't start him.
Yeah. See, everybody wins. You guys,
that helped.
All you're complaining like, oh, it's bad. It's not a fair trade. He wasn't even smart enough to start him. You guys.
You know how it goes, right? When you have that game going on and you're like literally out. You check your availability the night before, right? Because you got family stuff to do, you're working, you got things going on, you don't have whatever. So you set it and then you forget it. And before you know it, you're 2 hours in, 3 hours in, knee deep in a move, and you're not checking your phone, and then all of a sudden you're getting phone calls saying you didn't start Dalvin Cook, you dummy. But I did get 2 points from Madison.
And he's in COVID protocol now too.
Yeah.
So at least you were forced to start him in the playoffs this week.
Does that ever happen to you guys? You guys just away from your phone long enough where you just don't make the right start and just shit happens?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've made it a few times where you're looking like, I need to now win this week because that was a massive, massive mistake.
Yeah, and you get so many texts, right? Everybody's letting you know. Oh, did you start him? Like they know damn well I didn't.
Here's the score: 92-29-08. I had Lamar Jackson.
Oh, Dalvin going off right now. Like you're getting so many texts and phone calls that you think Dalvin Cook is actually going to call you and ask you why you didn't start him.
He just has like a tracker. Man, I know you should have had me started. Sorry, bro. Sorry.
I was not started in 0.00001% of the leagues, and I found that guy and I called that guy.
He gets a beeper on the field, like after his like 6th rush in a row, and he's like, "Hey, we need to like give you a breather." He's like, "Did you know there's a guy in Canada?" I know they're stupid up there.
He's like, "How'd you find my number?" And he's like, "Me and Neo, we go way back."
Oh my goodness. You guys, there was some messed up stuff that happened. First of all, I lost. Steve lost. Everybody wins. But I must say again, congrats to Steve on your playoff appearance. Way to go, buddy.
The streak still lives, boys. The streak.
Way to go. And
one of the
playoffs
most
here.
consistent fantasy performers in that league.
No other leagues, but that league, I
that's
take
good.
great
Someone's
pride in
doing
that.
it. Did you? Now, you guys talked about this on your podcast on Sunday. We didn't get to because we don't have a football podcast on Sundays or at all, except for this one. The Dallas Cowboys brought their benches to Washington because they said the week prior that they thought their benches weren't heated in a dome in New Orleans. So they decided, no, for the first time in the history of the franchise, why not? Let's fly out our benches because I probably can write this off by the end of the year. Let's fly out our benches. And to that I say, I've got benches in different trenches.
So, not just first time in franchise history,
In NFL history.
first time in NFL history. And like I was saying on Sunday, you had to know it was coming from Jerry Jones. Like there was one human being on earth that was going to be that narcissistic that he's like, well, it's actually just because they weren't heated in a dome. And so we had to make sure we had our benches.
Well, there's two human beings, but they don't let Trump own a team.
Like, wouldn't you want to save that for like the playoffs? Let's say you're in the playoffs and like
Playoffs?
a divisional round.
Playoffs?
Wait,
Playoffs?
sorry. Wait, what was that?
We can't even win a game.
Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
I love the higher register on the end of there. It's like game.
It's like Tiger King, right? It's weird.
Yeah,
It is kind of weird. I mean, at the end of the day, for you guys, so you guys are in the playoffs, obviously, and like, what's the main thing you guys are shooting for? Championship.
Don't lose
right?
in the first round.
Don't lose in the first round. And I guess the motto would probably be,
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
I agree, Herm Edwards.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I'd prefer somebody just crown him, and it was me.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
You're
If I have to
Probably
sabotage-
not.
If I have to sabotage, I will.
I'll tell you what, I love carrying 2 or 3 lost teams or no lost teams into the playoffs and losing in the semis. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I don't like that. So that first round, like, I don't know how everybody else feels. You make the playoffs. I mean, I've had a handful of years where I've been the division winner in our league, right? Like I've been division winner a few times. I've had some good teams. I've never won, but I've won the division. So you get that.
Yeah, I mean, you're the league manager. If you say you won the division,
hey, I'll go back. I got receipts, man.
Get the almanac out here.
I got receipts.
You
But I
better
never
have,
win
like,
that next game. I never win that next game. Doesn't matter how good or bad even that bye week was. As soon as I get into that first division, I'm done. I always lose.
No one will ever have a fantasy football team. I think it was Ted's 3 or 4 years ago was the most stacked fantasy football team I have ever seen in my life. He was averaging like almost 200 points a week. It was ridiculous. Like he was just lambasting teams.
Next closest guy was 50 points out, I think.
Yeah, like it wasn't even close. It was his league to lose. He had obviously the bye first round. Chris wins his matchup. Chris and Ted are playing in the semis, and Chris just routs him right away.
Yeah.
Chris goes on to win the championship, and it just goes to show you fantasy football is a damn joke, and it's a guessing game. And if you make the playoffs, good for you. You could have the best possible roster, and you will still get routed like any given Sunday in the NFL. It's what we love and hate about fantasy football, I think.
I hate snow in the playoffs. I hate snow.
Oh,
If
I
you've
mean,
got a
unless you
guy
get
like
running back, if you're an AFC
Deshaun
North guy,
Jackson,
though.
I had Deshaun Jackson in his prime in Philly, and it was the snow game, I think, against Buffalo. I think it was in Philly. And yeah, whoever had Shady was on the other team, or it doesn't really matter. And yeah, they ran the ball like 100 times. It's cleaned up. And I lost.
See, that's like free fantasy football advice, right? I mean, if you're gonna draft running backs and you know that cold weather means snow weather, then you can do well if you have 2 guys to choose from and you just select a bunch of AFC North running backs. Like that's when the weather gets cold and the quarterbacks don't want to throw the ball, you end up with games like, the Harrison record-setting game, like however many years ago that was like, 200 and some odd yards. And this game that New England played last week where it was just New England running backs running amok, right? So, I mean, if you're going to build a team that's a playoff team, in my opinion, if you can somehow make it happen, if you're going to end up with a bunch of cold weather teams and their running backs, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's frustrating, but you're right. That's pretty decent advice for the people that maybe you're getting into it and you realize, like, man, I've noticed that they run the ball. Yeah, like
So
a New
fantasy
England
football's
running back,
hard.
steal. Like, yeah, it's stupid. But you gotta lose a few times before you figure those things out. And I mean, Ted, you always go like, you usually go like heavy on running back, don't you?
Well, so I used to be the heavy on receiver guy.
I was gonna say that used to be your MO.
There was 1 year where we had done, it was like a brand new league and we traded a bunch of picks and I'd moved back into the first round or whatever. And I think I selected it was like Larry Fitzgerald and Megatron and Andre Johnson.
I remember that. And there's no way you had all three.
Yeah. And the rest of the league was just like,
this is stupid. But you had no running backs.
But had no running backs. Like, I think I got lucky though. I think I picked up like a Peyton Hillis or something like that year that he went off. And I think that was the year that I won too, which, I mean, it seems like a long time ago since winning leagues, but this year's going to be tough. I play Mike. He's like a smart analytical manager. So he's going to have some starts and stuff set up, but it should be a good, exciting first round of the playoffs. And the Ball Hawks league also looks mega interesting because I feel like that whole entire league is 500.
It pretty much, except for me.
Well, except for me.
Well, you don't count because
I'm not even sniffing around 500. I think Chris and I both went 4-10 in that league.
Well, at least somebody's going to show up in that. That would be me. So, guys, let's get into our. Let's recap our sleepies, and because he's not here, we're still going to show it. We've got recapping our sleepy and our sleepy ads for our good friend Chris Phillips. So, Ted, let's get her started. Who recap your start and your ad from last week?
So I can't remember who the start was, but my two guys were KJ Osborne. It ended up working out pretty good. 3 receptions for 83 yards and a TD. So I'd call that a home run instead of in terms of a sneaky start for a receiver, especially if you're going to run it as a flex or a bye week guy. So that absolutely killed. Holy crap, I'm so good at this. Actually, what happened was I also started JaMychal Hasty in this one, and he brought me back down to earth. Hit and miss. I'm not even sure if he put up anything, maybe like a couple of yards. Something worked out to 2 points.
He started.
So any good that I did for you in selecting KJ Osborne, I hope you also weren't listening to me when it came to selecting JaMychal Hasty.
The good old 50% rule.
The old 50-50.
50% of the time, you hit it every time.
Yeah. 50%.
Steve, looks like in the rundown, you weren't sure if you even had a start or an ad, but
I'm an old
go to you next.
Pen and paper kind of guy.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just so good at memory stuff.
That's
I remember that my start was Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think it was a win at 90 yards, no touchdown.
I would call that a win.
9 points, absolutely.
I thought he was going to really feast, though. The Ravens secondary, again, more depleted. 90 yards, I'm going to say, is actually a win for the Ravens defense at this point. But I think it's also a win if you started him in that flex position.
For 9 points, I could have used that on my sleeper league. That would have got me to 29 points. Sorry, I take that back. 38 points.
I would have got up closer to 40 points this week.
I almost would have had a 40 burger as a team.
Yeah. And my ad, he was on a bye this week, but Ramondre Stevenson, I think it still is going to show that it will be a home run ad in these playoff weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
Last week he was only owned in 33.7% of NFL.com leagues, and Ryan and I were just like, how?
That makes me mad. If you haven't taken Steve's advice on this guy already, you're an idiot.
You're an idiot.
Not even good. I almost felt bad saying that advice because it's not even good advice. It's just literally common sense. Like this team ran the ball except for 3 plays. They threw the ball. Like, you have to add this guy. So I didn't actually check what the numbers are this week. I'm hoping it's a lot more. But yeah, I would say that for the first time all season in this show, I've hit maybe a double home run.
You have to
back to back.
He's still rostered in 27.1% of leagues.
It went down.
It went down.
It went
because he had a.
there was a bye week. It went down 6%. People,
Oh man, don't be
I'm not
stupid.
that
Stupid.
smart. I'm literally not that smart, but this is a must do. Add and start. Ramondre Stevenson. If he's in your league, he's going to help you win a fantasy football championship.
I
And
feel
the
like
other guy's
I feel like a
Van
teacher saying I'm not that smart is almost like a hairdresser saying oops.
Chris gonna.
What do you mean
What
oops?
did you say? I said poop. I have to poop.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna go. Like, do I just? Maybe he'll just leave. Maybe he'll just leave. Maybe he just won't want the rest of the cut. Yeah, him and Van Jefferson. If you have an opportunity to get either of these guys, go get them right now. Like
So
it's 10:00 on the West Coast. So all you East Coasters, finish watching the Canucks game. Your Columbus Blue Jackets just blew a game to the Canucks, and you're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get my fantasy roster.
Still on the honeymoon, baby.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, you know what? Like, who's available? Ramondre Stevenson. Oh, like I hear the Patriots running game is good. It is good. It
and
is
they
good.
do it all the time. And since you mentioned Van Jefferson, he's still only rostered in 49.7.
Come on.
Leagues. Like,
Come on.
I don't know where these leagues are, but I want to join one of these really crappy bush leagues where I just dominate year after year. Like, I'll feel so good about myself that I'm like, I'm a fantasy football like guru.
Yeah.
No, it's just because I'm not stupid.
And like it's those leagues that it's like it's 8 teams or 10 teams, and it's like 2 receivers, 1 running back, 3 bench spots, or something like that. That's why he's out there like that.
It's like meat and potatoes league. Like, oh, this is all you can start. So they're just like they're probably like 1 year leagues, right? Like no redraft, just
also
all in.
Mashed potatoes suck.
Oh, jeez, we don't have enough time for that argument. So yeah, Steve, pretty
My
decent.
wife is glaring at me, I bet.
Good. You deserve it.
She's smart.
So you guys know my my start and my ad. My ad was Gardner Minshew. Like I said, he is on a bye week, or he was on a bye week.
Threatening divorce. That's ridiculous.
Well, it was a good run. It was a good run. Good for you, Christy. Good for you.
I can't even walk in.
I'm also hearing Jalen Hurts may actually be starting, so the Minshew one may not pan out like I thought. But I'm holding out hope that it happens.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was where am I here? Mike Davis, the rookie. 44 rushing yards, 42 receiving yards. Not a bad day at the office for a sneaky start. You're getting 8.6 points. That's not bad. So for me, I finally hit. It took me a few weeks, but I hit once again. Again, the ad, maybe I'm not really sure how that's going to pan out. We'll find out this week, I suppose. But I'm pretty happy with myself. And Steve will share Chris's. He had, is it Buda Baker? No, I'm just kidding.
Buda Baker was. He
kidding.
had Baker Mayfield as a start. He doesn't have any other notes here, but Ted had a
Rashad Penny. Let's go on that.
No, it was a modest day at the office for Baker. It was like 16 points, under 200 passing yards, so 190, 2 TDs and an INT. So yeah, I don't know. We could probably chalk that up as a win if you were sitting on a bye week and you had to throw a starting quarterback in and you got 16 points out of a guy versus 8 from getting yanked halfway through the game. Then yeah, let's call that a win.
I mean, I had Lamar, and he
got me 1.5 points this week. So who am I to say that's not a win?
Exactly.
His other pick there was definitely his massive home run pick, Rashad Penny. It was a few years, but 137 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a 170 yard, but still like 2 touchdowns over a hundo. Really smart ad.
Is that good?
Our resident Seahawks guy.
That good?
So make sure you listen to what he has to say about the Seahawks. He's usually right.
Well, that being said, now, so he jumped up the first time and said, "Get off Seahawks running back, stay away, please." And then comes down around a week later. The Hawks running back suck. Comes up a week later and says, "Add a Hawks running back." After he said, "Stay away," and he was right again. So he was right twice in a row. So I think it's time to start listening to Chris.
But it's almost one of those greasy moves where he's like, don't trust a Seahawk, and then like you almost say like, "Oh, now you should trust a Seahawk," and they're like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And all the whole time he was right. Like,
yeah,
damn it.
Twice in a row.
Ted, is this like you reliving me ganking Matt Forte? Never hit your team to a Chicago Bear. They'll always burn you. And then I get a trade for Matt Forte. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's Matt Forte."
Then he negotiates a trade hours later.
It was literally the same
Forte on
day.
his roster.
Oh man, you were livid that day. Let me tell you.
And it was right at the time too when like those Kia Forte commercials out, so it was just in my head all the time. It's running around every time I turn the TV on. Kia Forte commercial.
It worked out
It's
pretty
not my
well
forte.
in standard or PPR leagues. And gentlemen, PPR means points.
PPR.
Thank goodness you have that up there every week.
I'm kidding.
I forget.
You never know. Someone might be PPR. Like, is that?
I mean, people aren't
vaccine?
Aren't rostering Ramondre Stevenson and Van Jefferson, so maybe they don't know what PPR means.
Well, that's why I put it up.
That's the play, right? When you walk in, you don't know anything about fantasy football. You're talking to some dudes. They're in a league. They come to you. What kind of league you in? Then easily you drop PPR, and you're all good. Nobody will ever question you. So you just drop the PPR. Good to go.
And then the follow up for the guy that actually calls you on it, half point or 2.5.
That's when you don't even have to answer that. Half point or full point?
Yes.
You know already.
You know.
Who do you take me for? Some kind of fool?
Yeah, like Najee Harris. Like, oh, you're on that show. Yeah, I know. I
do the Najee.
Yeah, do the Najee Harris. So guys, I promised you at some point we would have theme music for this. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Are you ready for this? We're going to turn it up to 10. It's time. Let's do the big one. Stars.
What was that? That sounded like 1980s Double Dragon level completion or like
I don't know.
Battletoads
Let's play it one more time. It was one of the hot buttons.
That's definitely that's Super Nintendo level completion shit. That's what that is.
It was one of the hot buttons on
maybe
here.
Just NES. Maybe not even the Super
That's
Nintendo.
Like Tekken Bowl level there.
Mm-hmm. It's like skate or die when you.
That's like put the disc in, close the lid, and it didn't work. Or like I think that's where we were at video game completion or level completion music.
I know we're not a video game kind of show, but
no, we are.
Has it ever confused you how everybody did the same move before social media? Like, why did you do that? And you and I never talked about this. And then Ryan, like, we couldn't have social media being like, oh, did you do like the secret thing where you like blow in the end of the game?
Not the secret thing. You just did that.
Yeah.
Like hitting your TV to get at the.
It's like on the schoolyard, the kids all singing the same songs that you sang when you were a kid. How the hell? Like, how did they remember? I don't know. It just gets passed on. It's like fairy tales or some shit like
osmosis.
that.
Osmosis.
It's and if not, then it's obviously osmosis.
Yeah. One more time.
Actually love it.
It's actually pretty cool. It was preloaded in this stupid thing, so I think I'm gonna keep it around. And sometimes you just got to amuse yourself to get through these things. So, Steve, I can't believe that we're actually going to say this name twice today. But who was your Thanos for the past week?
I just talked about him, and being a former first-round pick, you wouldn't think they would hit the level of Thanos, but we actually have two former first-round picks in the show for you for our Thanos picks. I'm again saying Rashad Penny. He did help at least one person because Chris did have him, and Chris started him. So
only Chris though.
Right. He's only rostered in 1.6% of leagues. I don't know how many of those were actually started, but Monster Day, 25, almost 26 fantasy points. That helped no one except for Chris that we know of.
Rashad Penny shoving defenders away, and Penny has a Seahawk touchdown.
And the stiff arm.
Oh, that was like a LaDainian Tomlinson style stiff arm. That was when you watch him run like that, you can like understand why he was selected in the first round. Like there's some shades of stuff going on there. So the talent's obviously there. So man,
And he looked explosive. Like he looked explosive. He looked quick to get out and just nasty finishing. Like he wants it now. So
his timing was pretty good.
I mean, you see stuff like that, and that's the kind of stuff that makes you a believer.
You know what? You know what kind of year it is though for Mr. Penny. It's contract year. You know what he's gonna be doing? Cashing in.
Well, if this was a contract year, this would be one of the shittiest contract years ever.
Yeah. In case you missed that, he's gonna be cashing in. I'm loaded today. I'm loaded, ready for bear. Love it. Love it. Folks, I'm not sure which game you were watching on Sunday in the afternoon. I was watching Tampa Bay, and that game ended up being an absolute beauty. It coincided with the Bengals and 49ers game, which also went to overtime. You basically got a lot of free football. You had a pretty good time. I have this guy that you may have heard of, probably only because you saw him on your TV, Brashad Perryman. He is owned in 0.1% of leagues. So whoever managed, I mean, he might be owned. I doubt he was even started. But if you started him, you got this.
All year, and here he is on 3rd and 3 from the pocket. Connecting. That's Perriman taking it all the way for the win. The first time he had been targeted the entire game, Brashad Perriman.
What a play design and the patience of Brady. 5-man rush and the protection up front was phenomenal, showing off the depth of this offensive unit.
I mean, watching Josh Allen there, he knows it hurts. And that was a great game. Like, it was a really, really good game. And then to see typical Tom Brady, he just finds a way to get it done. That was impressive. And as he's like trying to hold off the defender there, my dad, like I'm watching it at my parents' place, and he's like, "What is he doing?" He's like, "Why is he?" I said, "Watch him." So he finally breaks free. I'm like, "It's because he has a touchdown if he gets away from that guy." He's like, he was making sure that nobody was going to bring him down from behind. Next thing you know, massive, what is a 73-yard TD walk off? Like, absolutely. I mean, it was great television. Again, you're not starting him, because that helps no one.
No. Steve and I we're both, invested in Brashad Perryman, ex-Brown, ex-Raven. I mean, you could see in like just these like little like flickers almost the kind of receiver that like Perryman could be, and just like an absolute freak athletically, right?
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out for him for whatever reason in Baltimore. Injuries played a big part in that. He comes to Cleveland and he's like, doesn't do a whole lot, and then same things all of a sudden just flashes of like brilliance where you can tell what kind of a freak athlete this guy is, right? And obviously he has a good season in Cleveland, and then I'm thinking this guy's going to be the perfect third receiver for us, and then walks and then leaves again, and now he's in a different spot. And so wherever Perryman goes, when he scores and when he gets the ball, it's just like, man, we all know that the ability's there for that guy to be that guy all the time, but it just never panned out. And that's probably going to be a little bit like another guy who's going to show up on this Thanos.
Like, Steve, you should have almost had him as yours. That was like his first target, his one catch. Now, he didn't get the 1-yarder, but like he was a 1-1-1 with some extra yards. 1 TD, 1 catch, one target with like 73 yards of running.
I mean, when you get to that second catch, you're off my list.
Yeah, he had one. And it was the walk-off. Like, he got targeted once, wins the game.
Don't get greedy, all right, people?
Yeah. It's like, all you need is one. All you need is one.
Just one. Just 1 yard, one
like,
reception.
Listen, Tom knows you're here, okay? Yeah. He knows you're here. We've got to play for you. You're going to have to be patient. Trust us. We've won a Super Bowl. We got this. He's won a bunch. He knows where you are on the field. Trust
Tom's
me.
won a Super Bowls.
Yes, he has won multiples. He has won the big bowl many times.
On the graphics?
Pardon me?
I said, didn't you see his rings on the graphics?
Exactly. In case you're wondering, this is the guy that makes it, okay? Speaks for itself.
Good.
Speaks for itself. Oh, man. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Chris isn't here, but he also had a Thanos Steve, would you care to talk about now this guy? It's funny that Chris picked this guy because we were back and forth on him to add him on as many rosters as we could. I got him on one, dropped him the week after. Chris got him a few times. I don't even know how many fab bucks he spent, but
didn't you spend like 70% of yours?
Yeah,
so what?
Big deal. I missed the playoffs. Everybody makes mistakes.
I feel like every season for the last how many seasons, when Josh Gordon gets reinstated, people are like, take my fab bucks. I don't care. And you know what? It's a smart ad because of what Ted was just talking about with Brashad Perriman is the talent is there. If he gets a hot hand, it is so worth it. So he hasn't really done anything all season. 2 catches, couldn't have been my Thanos, obviously. 9 yards and a touchdown for Josh Gordon, which I don't think helped literally anyone.
No.
He's got in there. Kansas City now 3rd and goal. They are inches away. Toss it inside. Josh Gordon. Touchdown. Chiefs.
Now I'm going to make a dig here quickly. If he was on that Seattle Seahawks team in the Super Bowl, there's a ring right there. Josh Gordon could have won you a ring.
I mean, he passed it, but he could have just as easily walked it in.
He could, not to say that he shouldn't have ran the ball in anyway.
It's like, no, man, I'll just walk it over to you. I got it.
You know what? Andy Reid had Josh Gordon in fantasy football this week. That's the only
yeah, that's right.
We can only trust in that.
Like no one started Josh Gordon. Nobody. He helped nobody. He helped no one. Football's great, isn't it? Ted, who did you have to Thanos your squad?
Well, my guy is like, so Steve's got his thing, obviously, where he selects the 1-1-1 guy. It's not always there, but my favorite is the Vulture. I
hate vultures.
I love the Vulture.
Jacob Tammy is like my all-time vulture.
Jacob Tammy,
hate that guy so much.
If you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you hate the Vulture, right? Like this is the theme. So this year we had this game. We had a Vulture. We had Jonathan Williams. Rostered in 0% of leagues, started in 0% of leagues. You're talking about a guy like Gibson out on the Washington football team that's had like, I don't know, like 19 carries the last 4 weeks or so. And if you were going to really ask yourself about what you were going to watch this week or get double down and put money on some kind of weird fantasy bet, would you have bet on the Kyle Allen, Jonathan Williams connection?
I wouldn't have,
because I wouldn't have. But this play right here that you're about to see literally helped no one. Like literally no one. They will
run it and get in. Touchdown, Jonathan Williams.
Oh, and another practice squad stud who there's been a bunch of them this year. So another practice squad guy.
I think you really have to pay attention to practice squads in the next year or so, like especially with COVID and everything. It's still going to be around. It just, you look like, Adrian Peterson's been activated from the practice squad, or like there's all these guys who like here's a big one I saw. Did you see who I think the Texans are working out again?
Kaepernick? No.
Lamar Miller.
Oh
yeah, sure, why not?
He exists in football still.
I mean, how old is he?
I mean, he's about as old as you.
Maybe. The wheels probably fell off a long time ago.
Well, then at least
Lamar Miller.
It's just like name recognition. Like, no, you
retire early, I guess, maybe I don't know. I didn't guess he didn't retire.
I saw that on the ticker and I just laughed. I'm like, come on, you're kidding, right? No. I mean, I could buy a few players that have been in the league. Come on, Lamar. No.
He's 30. So
is he?
He's 30, but he's definitely one of those guys that you haven't thought about for a while, and you look back and you're like, man, you could tell me that guy's like 33. I believe you.
You tell me that guy was 40 and I would have believed you.
I would believe you. Yeah, he played in the league same time Tiki Barber did, right?
That's
and then you think like, how old is TJ Yeldon? I haven't heard of that guy in forever. He's like 2 years younger than Lamar Miller.
What? And then what happened to Todd Gurley? Like, what's up with him? Like, is he?
Is
he injured? Is he?
I don't know.
Is he anything anymore?
He
I don't
was
even
rumored
think
to
Gurley
go to
knows.
the Ravens. And if you can't make the Ravens running back room right now with the junk that's going on there, you have not stayed in football shape. That's all I can say.
Like it's like I
They
think even like
brought
the
back,
dog
like,
with
the
like two wheels for
2014
legs could make that team right now.
Yeah. They brought back like what was it, like the 2014, 2013 team. Like, oh, like let's bring Le'Veon Bell back. Let's bring Devontae Freeman back. Like, oh, Latavius Murray is available. Like, sweet. All of these guys have been like thrown into like non-existence. Oh, look, they're working out. Sweet.
Jamal Lewis is getting what? Yeah,
Yeah,
we
he
actually
comes
believe in
down
him.
to
Is that for real?
No,
Jamal Lewis? I was kidding.
no.
He's gonna put up another
mean-
2K season.
I mean, you're gullible, but I didn't think you're stupid. So
He's playing for the Bengals.
it just makes no sense. Oh wow. Anyway, it's time for Sleepy Starts. You know what? Let's double down on this. It doesn't fit.
Oh,
It
that's a
doesn't
little
really hit the
aggressive.
same. Doesn't hit the same. But it's good. It's good.
It's
I
good.
don't mind it.
Good.
Chris, if you were here, who is your Sleepy Start for this week?
Why didn't you just ask him when he was up on the screen there? Like, hey, Chris, are you awake, buddy? Who's your start?
Hey guys, so Gerald Everett is my start this week. He's a tight end. That's all I know about him.
Oh,
that was very underwhelming, Ryan.
I'm not Chris.
man, I'm really sorry.
I filled in for him.
Whenever I see that, I can only think of Exhibit.
Wait, this?
No, Carl Everett.
Oh, Carl Everett?
Gerald Everett.
Gerald
Is it
Everett,
Gerald?
sorry. Mr.
Close
Everett. He looks like
Yeah.
he just looks so much like DMX in that photo. It's hilarious.
Hmm.
Pimp My Ride. Not DMX.
yeah.
What did I say?
And you're all over the place with terrible references right now.
Yeah, that was not right.
Exhibit was
X to the Z.
Exhibit. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. DMX.
Wow. I'm glad we're 100% on the references today.
Hey, mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made. Steve, because Chris was a little bit quiet on who he felt was his Sleepy Start. Who is yours?
Mine, since Chris decided to go with a Seahawk, I thought it was only appropriate to go with a Baltimore Raven. And I am picking rookie wide receiver Rashad Bateman. He's still only owned in 8.3% of leagues. So if you're in one of those deeper leagues and you need a wide receiver, it could be an ad. He hit the 100 marker last week for the first time in his young career. And he had a play where he clearly got into the end zone for his first ever touchdown. Refs called him down at the 1. The Ravens ended up scoring, but he was livid. Like, as a rookie, you don't really see rookies like screaming at refs. He screamed in the face of the refs. That he got his first touchdown poached, and I think he is a freak. I think he is going to come into this Packers game with a massive fire in his ass, under his ass, not in his ass. That would be weird.
I mean, I had
got you.
tacos with hot sauce today, so I
That's
probably
okay.
will have that a little bit later.
But
I'll
I think Rashad Bateman's worth a start. And I was trying to think of guys
So
that
good.
could potentially be available in championship weeks that could help you somehow.
And you're thinking that's him. Like, what does he look like? So, is he a keeper? Like, our league, we've got like a 4-1, right? He's like a must keep, right?
I mean, I
Or
don't know
maybe
if
not, but
his statistics would say that he's not a must keep, but I think his projection is a must keep. He was out in the preseason with an abdominal injury. He had to get surgery on his core. Kind of messes around with him. He didn't get those like rookie snaps in preseason. But every time their offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, finally unleashes him and lets him be on the field and targets him, he puts up ridiculous catches. His arms are like 40 feet long. He makes catches he has no business making. He is a technician route runner. He runs like a 4.3 40. He was beating all-pro corner Marlon Humphrey all off season. So I believe in him. I think if he gets the opportunity, he can be a clear wide receiver one. So if you're keeping a rookie, maybe you could get him for, well, you could actually probably get him off the waiver wire because he's only owned in so few leagues. Yeah, so I'm keeping him, and I'll have other rookies available if you're interested.
Thanks. In like a dual set next year, because now he's had that rookie season, right? So
Yeah.
next year he's a sophomore. He's got the trust of the coach. He's got the trust of his quarterback.
He should
They
already have
start
that.
running. No, I know that. I'm just saying, like, going into next year, he's got now a year of experience under his belt. Now you can start running the, maybe a little bit more risky dual sets and stuff. So you're having to target two wideouts as D backs, right? And if they're both a threat, you can't take both. You're gonna have to double coverage potentially one guy, which leaves the other guy open. Him and Hollywood could be a pretty scary duo next season.
Totally.
Again,
I think one of the
health
big
being
traits
considered, right?
too is like you said, he's going to be in those dual wideouts, and what they haven't been using him for is trust that this kid is going to win those 50-50 balls, because he showed it at Minnesota that he can go up and make a play. I don't know if they're trusting him yet to make those, but worst case scenario, he fights for the ball. It's not going to be an interception. Like, let him win 50% of those. Let him bat 50% of those down, and it's probably a big win for the Ravens. So I think he's a keeper.
When are they going to start keeping, like, when are they going to start treating him like he's their number one receiver? Because I've seen him play a couple times. I feel like he's already their number one receiver. I mean, in terms of keepers, I think when you look at what he and I mean, if you compare him to Jalen Waddle, for example, in terms of like the technician and the targets and the stuff like that, they're very different receivers, but they can be targeted very similarly. I mean, you look what those guys are doing. I think he and Waddle are in the conversation as keepers, depending on how many keepers you're keeping. Not as rookies, as a rookie keeper, but as just a regular true keeper.
Yeah. As for when are they going to let him be a true number one? I just don't know if you need to be a true number one. Like, Mark Andrews is playing out of his goddamn mind this year. Like,
that's your number one,
the leading receiver in all tight ends, including Travis Kelce. He's so good. Why would you not feed him the ball? You got Hollywood Brown. He is so good. Why would you not feed him the ball? I think it's just going to come down to a more even distribution of, like, this kid is special. When the defense doubles Hollywood or doubles Andrews, you go somewhere else. Like, they're going to have a triple-headed monster along with this ridiculous run game that I think it's going to be. They want to win football games. So, you know what? If I am the one getting doubled and I have 0 catches, but we win the game by a blowout because you can't double my other guys, sweet. So I just don't know if
you have to double somebody, right? And it's probably Andrews right now, which is going to leave Bateman or Marquise available. Yeah. And again, you might be able to put maybe a heavier guy on one of them, but you can't cover 3. Even if you try, then that's where the run game opens. That's where you get Lamar able to run around, right? Now he gets to scamper around. There's essentially, 4 to 5 options there when they're running well, like when things are going the way they're supposed to. Totally. But I think this is like the Ravens. This is typical, Baltimore Ravens. The deeper they go in the season, especially in the playoffs, I mean, man, you cannot. And this is before this show's ever started. The Ravens are just one of those teams that the further they go in the playoffs, like, you better have a pretty special playbook ready for them, because like, they've pissed me off. Just, I don't even care who they're playing. You just know that they've got a better game and you better have something special or you're going to end up losing. And this is before Lamar. This is like, this is the Ray Lewis's, the Jamal Lewis's and all those guys, and Todd Heaps and of the world. Like, Ed Reed, like, that team for so long has just been so. Ted, this team has been dangerous for so long, right? And especially once as soon as it gets colder, like, yeah, let's go. We're just going to hit you harder. And they've got guys on the offense that'll hit you harder. So, I mean, there's guys worth picking up in your fantasy playoffs, folks, and they play for Baltimore. On to me.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
crazy too. I don't really feel like I don't know if Baltimore's ever had that true number one receiver. They've always had a really good guy, like a good guy, whether it was Mason or Steve Smith or whoever you want to insert any of those guys in there, but they've never had that Julio. They've never had that, that beater, right? That world beater. So it'd be crazy. I just think Bateman is that good. I think he could be that guy.
I'm going to break everything up. I'm going to be the absolute Debbie Downer. My start for this week. Carlos Hyde, 1.3% owned.
Who? That guy like 35.
Yeah. You want to talk about old running backs? Carlos Hyde is still relevant somehow. And Robinson, he's kind of tailing off towards the end of the season. I would know because I have him in my leagues where I'm not making the playoffs. So take a flyer on him. I mean, they have to run the ball. This is going to be a very interesting game because I compared it to my coworkers today. This week's game, you've got Jacksonville, and you've got Houston, right? It's basically you have to pick one. Would you like to poop your pants, or would you like to pee in them? You have to pick one. They're both embarrassing. What are you going to pick?
I mean, I know which one I would pick. I'm just saying.
I don't think that's close, but
yeah, I mean, we all would, right? This goes like if there was a pudding that like we're not going there,
right?
We're not going there again. I lost that one.
Chocolate pudding.
Oh man, what would you rather eat? Oh, Ted, who's your start?
Oh, shit.
I don't want to relive that. I've already lost that once.
Oh, I mean, I'm going back to Baltimore. I gotta. I mean, being a Browns fan, I was watching that game versus the Ravens. And Tyler Huntley comes in. This guy's owned in like 0.1% of leagues. Obviously filling in from Lamar. It's kind of like what Atlanta did back in the day, trying to have a backup on the roster that could serve like Vic could, right? And man, I gotta tell you. I know he was a little bit erratic and he was a little bit reckless with the ball, but I saw enough from Tyler Huntley to say that if I'm a Lamar owner, which I am in a league, I'm just going to go ahead and start Huntley. I think we'll give him a full week of practice. We'll give him the Harbaugh bump, which always happens. There'll always be a set set of packages for him to go through. And I know that he's going to have a tough matchup versus Green Bay. And that's not the team that you want to have to be playing against. But a couple of things are going to happen. He's going to have to throw the ball. I really feel like that. He completed 70% of his passes, 38 attempts in a pretty limited amount of time in Cleveland. And the 70% completion rate I mean, I feel like he's shown me enough as a thrower. And if anything happens and the pocket's going to break down, I mean, that guy fast as hell. And he might have run 200 yards in that game and only gained 40, but he gained 40. And if he's not, I don't feel like he's going to pick up the sack a whole ton. I think he's going to rush for yards if he sees and take it and run. So I think you have this sort of like double action quarterback here, and it's a poor man's Vic or a poor man's Lamar. But I think I'd be more than comfortable going on with this start, especially if you were a Lamar owner.
Kirkland brand Lamar.
Kirkland brand Lamar.
Speaking of Kirkland, the putters are back in stock at Costco's, folks. So if you need the Costco Kirkland putter, which I hear is amazing, left and right-handed, you heard it here first.
You can even backwards grip that one, I heard.
You could.
The flip grip?
Flip grip. Onto the sleepy ads. Sleepy ads.
Special little guy. It's getting late. I could actually.
He's sleeping. He's sleeping. I can't pull his mustache this time, which is unfortunate. Man, we missed out, didn't we?
If we got that,
we were so close.
We just set up for too long.
I think so. I think we just enjoyed the moment for too long.
Yeah. Is this actually happening? Okay.
Look at this dolt. This is great. Oh, we should do stuff right. By then, it was too late. It was too.
That sounded bad. Let's do.
Well, let's do stuff.
The two mustaches. Let's do stuff.
Yeah. My ad for this week. Mecole Hardman. This isn't like a groundbreaking ad. He's owned in 21.2% of leagues. But as the Chiefs go, and they're going to need to make sure they're spreading the ball around. And this is about the time where that happens, where they start relying on the guys. Mecole Hardman, he's had some pretty good chemistry with that Mahomes kid. And as they go a little bit deeper, you're going to need him in your roster. I mean, he's one of those guys, and I think this is the kind of year, and I'm going to keep track of this for the next couple of weeks. He is going to be one of those guys you may need in the fantasy championship. He's just one of those guys where either they're resting a guy or somebody's on COVID protocol or what have you. Mecole Hardman is a guaranteed producer if they bump him up. Like, he's essentially like third receiver. He can easily play. Like, he has the talent of a number 2, and he's had weeks where he's been number 1 as far as statistics go. He is absolutely reliable. I've watched him enough the last season and a bit, and you can't go wrong with him. If you need a guy like that and he is available, go at him, because, I mean, worst case, he's on your roster and you don't start him. But if you do need him, he's still going to get you some decent points. And you might only need 6 or 7, but he'll get you those 6 or 7 when you throw him in the lineup.
He's like the wide receiver version of Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. Hey, do you need 4 yards? I'm your man. Do you
Got
need
it.
yards? I'm not your man.
Yeah. I'm just good enough. Hopefully, if you got just enough injuries, but you just need a good fill-in, I'm your guy. Well,
and he doesn't ever fumble the ball. We'll give him that.
Yeah.
There you go. Ted, who is your ad?
I'm going back to the practice squad. I love the practice squad, I guess. But I have to, in the form of Craig Reynolds, Detroit Lions running back, 0%.
Minus 5%.
Owned. Is there a chance that anybody would possibly own that?
If you click on him, you have to pay money.
But he had himself a game. He had 83 yards rushing. It looks like another 16 yards on 2 targets. I mean, this might have more obviously to do with the fact that Swift is gone. I don't really feel like he's coming back anytime soon. But don't
free money.
Yeah, I mean, this could be the guy the rest of the way. Who knows? I mean, don't the Lions like at least owe it to him to try? So at the very least, they're going to at least give him a bunch of touches next game. So whatever, I'll tie my boat to Craig Reynolds. Sure, why not? That's a good sneaky ad for me. I think he could do something for you. Get him on your roster, folks.
It's Detroit.
Name.
Like it's Detroit.
It's Detroit.
He could have 6 yards on like 12 rushes, or he could have like 10 rushes for like 180 yards. You have no idea.
Practice squad boys.
He's the Javid Best. No, that's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Kicking the ball.
That's not fair.
Good old Tatum Bell there.
Chris and then Steve. Chris, who is your ad this week?
Chris is also staying in Detroit because nobody wants to own them, so it's worth a flyer. But this is a really good one, not like Bill Thomas or whoever Ted just said, whatever made up name he came up with. Rookie receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown is only Craig Reynolds. He's only owned in 5% of NFL.com leagues. Last week he had 73 yards. Week before that he had 86 and a touchdown. Like we said, Detroit sucks. They've got to give the ball to somebody. Why wouldn't they give it to their best young up-and-coming receiver? I think it's a really smart ad that could help even teams in playoffs, not even just those consolation loser brackets.
What was that?
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
God bless that man.
God bless that.
God bless that man.
Jim Mora, thank you so much. Yeah. And Steve, who is your ad?
So my ad is going back to the pooping or peeing your pants game, because
like it's not a game. I know which one I would do 100% of the time.
It's not
every
even
time.
a question. Like
if I had a choice, why would I be choosing if I wanted to shit myself?
Hey, some people like that. Okay.
You're like, I know exactly which one I'm going to do. Like,
there's no choice. Just because there are 2 options, you still just do the one.
You have 2 options. Your first option is you could poop yourself. Option B, please.
I don't want to hear what option is. Like,
I don't even care.
Option
Saving
is
care. People don't forget.
no, people don't forget that. My ad is wide receiver for the Houston Texans, Nico Collins, who is also a rookie.
Oh,
He's
I was
only-
going to add him. You did like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, but this is my problem, that I keep going back to people because either nobody's listening to us or nobody's listening to us because he's still only owned in 0.1%.
It's like peeing your pants or just peeing your pants.
Like,
It's the same thing.
We could poop our pants on this show and we're never going to be embarrassed because it's just us that knows about this, apparently.
Not true. Not true. You'll live with that for the rest of your life.
I'm going to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Owned in 0.1% of NFL.com leagues. Last week he had, you heard it, 69 receiving yards against the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to have
Nice.
I think that's how that works.
I don't think that's what people do with that, but hey.
We'll have an adult talk later, Ted, and maybe Ryan can explain it to you. But that's my sneaky or sleepy ad of the week.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Guys, somehow we got through with 3 people. We still made it about an hour. We gave some people some interesting things to think about for their fantasy playoffs. I will be in playoffs for 1 league guaranteed. I don't think I'm in 2 other ones, unfortunately, and I'm not looking forward to paying out whoever's winning in our league, and I will sabotage it to make sure that it's someone that's deserving this year. I hope not. I really hope not.
I mean, there's at least a 33% chance, and if the 2 other people you're looking at, you have to pay out. And if Chris's sleepy body was in here, it would be a 50% chance that you'd have to pay out one of us because all of us, except for you, made the playoffs.
Suck it. That's fun.
That was some quick math there. Thanks, teacher. That was good.
Okay.
Didn't even need a speaking spell.
Consider yourself learned.
Didn't even need a speaking spell for that.
You guys mad at the shit out of you.
You owe 50% of the money to one of us.
Oh my goodness.
Well, folks, on behalf of Steve and Ted and myself, I'm Ryan and Sleepy Chris. Sleepy Chris and his sleepy starts. This is the That Helps No One FantasyCast on the Dean Blundell Network. Make sure you follow us. We're going to still be around for the fantasy playoffs because apparently, even though Steve doesn't believe this, people do make ad drops during the playoffs to continue their run. And the motto of the playoffs is quite simple.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Smart guy.
So on behalf of everybody, you have a wonderful first week of the fantasy playoffs. Peace out. Okay, so when we're talking